Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Today we are taking a look at 7 things that I think a lot of players have forgotten or never noticed. And these aren't just tiny random details that don't matter. I used my experiences of reading my YouTube comment sections and talking to my in-game friends and found 7 things that people tend to forget about stuff that we are actually using right now. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have learned something valuable and maybe you'll have a new desire to use a specific sandbox tool. And if you are a Destiny 2 know-it-all, then I would really like it if you let me know down in the comments below if you knew everything in today's video. I'll be honest, this isn't just YouTuber engagement bait. I am genuinely curious if you guys knew everything we're about to go over. But with that said, let's jump straight into it, starting with number 1, and one that I think is extremely important in today's meta. And that comes from the Navigator exotic strand trace rifle. As we are all keenly aware, this exotic main purpose is putting down grapple points that we can use for infinite grapple melees. But the forgotten/hidden mechanic behind this exotic is an offshoot of its written portion, where it states, firing this weapon at an ally grants woven mail to both the user and the target. And its second perk that reads, dealing sustained damage severs the target. Obviously, this all works as intended, and you likely knew that. We can see us getting and applying woven mail when shooting a teammate, but what I'm curious about, if you remembered or even knew about, is that this works against enemies too. By shooting an enemy for an extended duration, it will apply woven mail to ourselves at the same time that it applies sever, meaning this weapon can be a good source of woven mail regardless of if you have teammates. And for anyone trying to make a grapple build, this is extremely important for triggering things like shield crush or tightly woven from this season's artifact. And if you're curious about builds almost entirely built around this, then go check out one of my recent build videos linked in the top right card. Now, coming off of an exotic weapon, the next one that I want to talk about is an exotic armor piece. And the first one that comes to mind, and why I really even thought about making this video, we have Sanguine Alchemy. Starting with what you already know, when standing in a rift, we get a ×4 weapon surge that matches whatever super we have equipped. So if we use Well of Radiance, that's a ×4 solar surge, and we can see it on our screen. But what I've noticed many people have forgotten is that there is an entire other damage buff tied to this exotic. We can actually see it just by reading the description. While standing in any rift, damaging a target will mark it. You deal extra damage to marked targets. In game, this is the red mark we see, and this mark offers a bespoke plus 10% damage to any weapon you use. That means even with Outbreak Perfected here, which is a kinetic weapon, so that means it cannot match any supers, we get no surges, our initial value against a non-marked target is 24. And when standing in a healing rift, applying that mark, it goes up to 27. So that's plus 10% damage for free. This is why when you're doing DPS, Sanguine Alchemy is pretty much always a good thing to run. And to anyone who saw my one phase guide video, this is why we run Sanguine, even though Outbreak Perfected is kinetic. Now, next on our list is another exotic armor piece, and one that I just recently covered in a build. This one is Mask of Bacchus. This exotic helmet was reworked with Edge of Fate's launch, and is a very fun, spammy exotic now. You dodge, get a couple kills to refill the dodge, then dodge again and repeat. With each dodge, you get plus 10% damage for Arc and Stasis weapons, or Lord of Wolves, up to a max of 30% after dodging 3 times. Again, I just put a build on this, but it's very popular in general. There isn't anything really secret in what I just said, but where the forgotten mechanic kicks in is that while Bacchus is active, there is an invisible extra damage buff for weapons against specifically stasis debuffed enemies. Using Ergo Sum, which was featured in my last build, with no buff, we deal 488 damage. With Light Shift ×3, that goes up to 650. That is the expected 30% damage buff. But when we slow an enemy and swing at that, our 650 goes up to 715. This is 10% more than just having ×3 Light Shift. And when factoring both buffs to the base damage, can get a 46.5% damage bonus from this exotic alone. And when used with Chill Clip Stasis weapons, because they slow themselves, every Chill Clip bullet has that buff automatically applied. Lots of us were already fans of Bacchus, but with this knowledge, it's actually even better than we first thought. But before we continue, have I taught you anything yet? Are you enjoying the video? Well, if the answer is yes to either of those, or you're just feeling generous, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. It really does help out the channel a lot, and that's all I'll say. Now, on to the next, we have one that is focused on just abilities themselves. This entry comes off of some recent sandbox changes with Edge of Fate, and it's mainly based on the super stat. As you all likely know, above 100 we get to increase our super damage up to 45%. And this can be shown pretty easily where, let's say we have a golden gun with Celeste and Nighthawk, Here it deals 9,900 damage. Then if we go into our inventory, equip some super mods and a font to increase our stat, and then pop that same golden gun, it now deals 11.3 thousand damage. What you likely didn't know, or maybe have forgotten though, about this stat, is that it increases the duration of placed supers. Like here with Well of Radiance, under 100 super stat. You place Well down and it lasts the full 30 seconds that we are used to, we can tell by the buff timer on the side of the screen. If we then boost that super stat above 100, we will get 1 extra second of duration per 10 stats. That means with a stat of 150, we can look at us placing the same Well of Radiance, and it now lasts 35 seconds. And this also proliferates to Ward of Dawn, which normally lasts 30 seconds too. It will now last up to 40. Again, we can see the increased duration. Also, I should be honest, this isn't so much of a forgotten mechanic, it just wasn't said anywhere, but maybe you never noticed this. Now, wrapping around back to some of our exotic armor, this one is a pretty quick one, and it's kind of surprising that not that many people knew it, or at least I myself had forgotten up until just recently. The currently very popular Ash and Awake exotic arms for Titans has a not so hidden and very obvious interaction with unstoppable champions. Again, I had no idea this was a thing until my friend Llama told me like last week. We can actually read it within the description. Fusion grenades gain increased throw speed, explode on impact, and stun unstoppable champions. And yeah, we can see that happening here in the firing range. One Ash and Awake fusion grenade will stun this unstoppable champion. It would be nice if it did full damage though, as it currently doesn't. It's kind of the same issue with Unstoppable Rocket Launcher, where you have to waste your high-powered piece of damage to stun, where you would then have to follow up again with some other kind of high damage. It's a bit backwards. But regardless, for anybody farming solo ops or trying to get to 450 power, this is probably something you should know. And then staying on Titans, our next piece of forgotten knowledge comes in the form of an aspect. This aspect can be found on Prismatic, that being Diamond Lance. I know Diamond Lance isn't the most popular aspect, although it is kind of going around with a current insurmountable Skullfort build, but still, we likely all know how it works on the surface. We can even read it. Shatters, stasis weapons, and ability kills spawn Diamond Lances. Then it says that we can throw or slam it to freeze enemy. In the game, we can see that clearly. If you get a kill with any kind of ability, we will spawn a Diamond Lance. Once it's spawned, we can pick it up and throw that at enemies to freeze them, or you can use the melee button to slam down the Diamond Lance in an AoE around you. But something that the description doesn't say, and what people often don't realize, is that when you do slam the Diamond Lance, you give yourself and any teammates nearby 2 stacks of frost armor. That means when you use this, it's not necessarily just a source of an instant freeze. You can use it to give yourself some very much desired damage resist. There's also some neat tech where if you throw the Diamond Lance and then immediately slam, you get to do both animations, although the slam won't freeze or give us frost armor. And then for our final and 7th missed, forgotten, unnoticed mechanic. As we all likely know, hunters have a dodge that will reload your equipped weapon. You can see this in the firing range very easily with a single shot weapon like a GL. We fire and then dodge to be able to fire once more. But this dodge only reloads what's in our hands. If we dodge with a different weapon out, then our GL is still sitting at a pitiful 0. But here is where our hidden / forgotten mechanic kicks in. When paired with Ascension, Marksman Dodge will reload all 3 of our weapons. Like here, we have 2 GLs both empty. 1 Ascension later, and we are all full up. This interaction makes Marksman Dodge much better than our defaults, and it can actually be slotted into so many different builds. So if you didn't know about this, it's probably time to start using it. But with that, that's 7 things you probably never noticed while playing Destiny 2. Did I miss something? Is there something that you see people forget about all the time? Well, if there is, please leave it down in the comments. But thank you for getting this far into the video. Again, if you learned anything or enjoyed this topic of content, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. If you want to just support the channel, a comment and a like go a long way too. And if you want to support the channel but you can't think of a comment down below. Sneaky. And with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.